The arrival. The stars were silent. Space was dark and cold like a sleeping beast. A strange ship moved slowly through the black sky. It did not shine. It did not make any sound. It looked like a shadow, hidden and dangerous. Inside the ship sat a tall, thin alien. Her skin was dark silver. Her eyes were sharp and glowing blue. Her name was Zarvexa. She was not here to make friends. She was a hunter. Zarvexa belonged to a race called the Drelvin. They were known across galaxies for one thing: hunting rare life forms. They did not hunt for food. They hunted for power, for knowledge. Every rare creature they caught gave them more status, more respect, more control. She looked at the glowing screen in front of her. A spinning blue planet showed. Planet Earth, the screen said. Status, dying, species, mostly extinct. One rare human remains. Her eyes narrowed. A human? Still alive? That was strange. Earth was supposed to be empty now. Long ago, humans had built cities, machines, and wars. But they had also destroyed their own world. Few survived. This human, his name was Eli, had been living alone for years. No communication. No technology, no city, just nature. Zarvexa smiled. A rare human like him could make her rich back on her planet. She clicked a button. The ship changed direction. It started moving toward Earth. The ship entered the planet's atmosphere. Clouds burned around it, but it stayed invisible. It landed in a deep forest far from any town or camera. Birds flew away. Trees shook, but no one saw anything. The door of the ship opened. A long metal ramp touched the ground. Zarvexa stepped out, wearing dark armor. She had many weapons. Her face was calm. She was trained, cold, focused. She turned on her cloaking device. Her body disappeared into thin air. Now she was a ghost. She started walking through the forest. The place was quiet. Only the wind, birds, and insects made noise. She didn't like it. It felt peaceful, too peaceful. Soon she reached a hill. She looked down. There he was. A man with short brown hair, a beard, rough clothes. He was collecting firewood. He moved slowly, calmly. He was not afraid. He didn't know anyone was watching him. This was Eli. He looked normal, even boring. But Zarvexa knew better. The computer said his mind was different. He had emotions humans had lost: love, hope, art, dreams. These were not useful to her people. They didn't understand feelings. They thought feelings were weak. Still, she watched. Eli made a small fire near his wooden cabin. He cooked something in a pot. Then he took some food and placed it on the ground near a tree. Soon a small rabbit came and ate it. Zarvexa frowned. Strange, she whispered. She thought he would be like other humans from the past. Greedy, violent, cruel. But this man was quiet, gentle. He even shared food with animals. She clicked a button on her wrist. The scanner showed his body temperature, heart rate, and brain activity. All normal, but also something new. His brain had strong, emotional waves, something rare. She had found her prize. Zarvexa moved closer, stepping over a branch. It snapped. Eli turned suddenly. He looked at the trees, but he saw nothing. He waited, listened, then slowly went back to his fire. Zarvexa stood still, not breathing. Her camouflage was perfect, but still her heart beat faster. Why? She shook her head. Emotions were useless. She was not here to feel. She was here to capture, to hunt, to win. She moved back into the shadows. Later that night, she climbed a tree and watched from above. Eli sat near the fire, playing music from a wooden flute. The sound was soft, peaceful, and beautiful. Zarvexa had never heard such music before. She recorded it, not for the mission, just for herself. Her eyes stayed on Eli. Tomorrow, she thought, I take him. But far away, deep in her mind, a small voice asked something else. What if I'm wrong about him? The observation. Forest was quiet again. The fire had died down. The stars were hidden behind thick clouds, and in the darkness a shadow moved without sound. Zarvexa was watching. Hidden by her cloaking suit, she sat high in the trees like a ghost, her glowing eyes fixed on one man, Eli. She had followed targets before. She had hunted rare beasts, with skin made of fire and creatures that screamed through space, but this was different. This human was not afraid. He was not angry. He was not what her kind had described. He was something else. The next morning, Eli left his cabin and walked into the forest. He carried a small basket and a wooden stick. He walked like he belonged to the land. His feet knew the path. The birds didn't fly away from him. Even the animals stared at him, not with fear but curiosity. Zarvexa followed, jumping silently from branch to branch like a predator. But something inside her was not hunting. She was studying. Eli knelt down beside a small stream. He picked up a rock. Under it, small insects crawled. He smiled. He gently placed the rock back, exactly as it was. Balance, he whispered to himself. Even the small ones matter. Zarvexa's translator picked up the words. She repeated them softly. Even the small ones matter. That made no sense to her. Later that day, Eli found a baby deer with an injured leg. He didn't panic. He didn't run. He slowly reached out, spoke softly, and helped tie a cloth around its leg. Then he waited with it until it stood up and walked away. Zarvexa recorded everything. Her report was filling with strange data. Target, human male, subject Eli. Behavior, non-aggressive, highly empathetic. Actions, healing, sharing, protecting. Threat level, unknown. Emotional strength, high. None of it matched what she was trained to expect. Back at her ship, she sent part of the report to her command. Within seconds, a cold voice replied through the speaker. Feelings are not data. Return with the subject, alive or not. She didn't answer. She looked at the screen showing Eli sitting on a wooden bench, writing in a small book. He laughed at something he wrote. Alone, but happy. Zarvexa closed the screen. Her hands shook a little. The next day, things changed. Zarvexa was watching from the trees when her foot slipped on wet bark. A snap, a sound, too loud. She caught herself, but the damage was done. Eli's head turned sharply. He stared directly at the tree she was in. He walked slowly toward it, alert now, eyes scanning. Zarvexa froze. She turned on her full camouflage. Not even light could reflect. Off her suit now, she was invisible to the eye, but Eli didn't stop. He walked around the tree. Who's there? He said calmly. I don't mean harm. Zarvexa's hand moved toward her weapon. Her mission was clear, capture, complete, leave. But her hand didn't pull the trigger. Instead, she moved. A mistake, a slight shimmer in the air. Eli noticed. He narrowed his eyes. Then suddenly, snap! A trap was triggered. A rope flew up and wrapped tightly around Zarvexa's legs, pulling her upside down into the air. She didn't cry out. She tried to activate her emergency release, but the shock from the trap fried her suit's cloak. Zarvexa became visible, hanging from a tree. Helpless. Eli took 3 steps back in shock. What he saw was not human. Silver skin, blue glowing eyes, sharp armor, and a wound on her leg from the trap. He didn't run. He didn't scream. He lowered his stick and slowly stepped forward. Zarvexa prepared to fight, but her leg was bleeding. Sparks flickered from her armor. Her systems were failing. Then, something strange happened. Eli reached into his pocket. He pulled out a small knife. Zarvexa's eyes widened, but he didn't stab her. He cut the rope. She fell hard, but softly into his arms. For a few seconds, no one spoke. Zarvexa, weak and confused. Eli, curious and calm. He looked her in the eye. "You don't belong here," he said softly. Zarvexa nodded slowly. "I came for something," she whispered. He smiled, placing her arm around his shoulder. "Maybe you'll find something better." That night she sat by his fire. Her weapons were gone, her systems shut down. Her face, usually cold, was now thoughtful. Eli brought her warm soup. She didn't understand it, but she drank. For the first time in her life, she felt something safe. But far away, beyond the trees, a sound echoed, a low hum, mechanical, dangerous. Another ship. She turned her head sharply. Someone else had arrived, someone not here to watch. The encounter. The fire cracked gently in the night. Eli sat with a strange being beside him, Zarvexa, the alien huntress who came to Earth to capture him. Her armor was damaged. Her wound had stopped bleeding. But something inside her was still broken, something deeper than flesh or circuits. She watched the fire. It danced like it was alive. In her world, fire was only energy, a tool, a weapon. But here, fire was warmth, a symbol, a memory. She didn't understand it. Yet she couldn't stop watching it. Eli handed her a blanket. She didn't know what to do with it. "It's for warmth," he said gently. "You're shivering." Zarvexa looked down at her hands. She hadn't noticed. Her body was strong, but her mind, it was shaking. She took the blanket. It felt strange. "You could have killed me," Eli said. "You had a weapon. You had the upper hand." "I still do," she replied. Eli smiled. "But you didn't use it." Silence fell again, but not an empty silence. It was filled with tension and curiosity and something soft and slow, like trust beginning to grow. Eli looked up at the stars. "You're not the first thing from the sky I've seen," he said. "But you're the first one that didn't destroy." Zarvexa turned to him. "Yet." Suddenly, a sharp beep came from her wrist device. Her body froze. A red light pulsed on her arm. Her people were watching, listening, tracking her every move. The signal was clear. "You have failed to capture the target. Termination protocol in 72 hours, backup hunter arriving." Zarvexa stood up quickly. She took a few steps away from the fire. Her eyes glowed brighter. "Who are you running from?" Eli asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she stared into the dark woods. Her head tilted slightly, like a predator sensing danger. Then, she whispered, "He's here." Far away in the dense trees, a shadow moved. It wasn't human. It wasn't kind. It was Kraxtor, another Drelvan hunter, bigger, meaner, smarter, and most of all, loyal to the code. He didn't ask questions. He didn't feel. He only finished missions. Zarvexa's pulse quickened. She had once trained with him. Now, he had come to clean up her mistake. She turned back to Eli. "You need to leave," she said sharply. "Why?" "Because if you stay, you die." But Eli didn't move. He looked her in the eyes. Calm. Then, "Teach me how to fight." She blinked. "You don't understand. He's not from your world. He doesn't know mercy. He won't talk. He won't stop." "I'm still not running." Zarvexa stared at him for a long time. There was no fear. In his eyes, only something that confused her even more than any earth thing. Faith. Not in weapons. Not in escape. Faith in her. That night they prepared. Zarvexa set traps using alien tech and earth materials. Eli followed every instruction. They had one advantage: time. A few hours before Kraxtor would arrive. Maybe less. "Why are you helping me?" she asked suddenly. Eli looked up from his work. "Because I think you came here looking for more than just a mission." Just before dawn, the ground trembled. Not loud, not sharp, but deep. Zarvexa's eyes narrowed. She looked up at the sky. Through the breaking clouds, she saw it. A dark tear cutting through the stars. Kraxtor's ship. It came down like a falling sword. It didn't land quietly. It crashed through the trees like a monster hungry for blood. The forest lit up with red and green lights. A large metallic figure stepped out. Heavy, tall, sharp as a nightmare. Cracks tore. His eyes scanned the area. Then he spoke in a voice that sounded like metal grinding against bone. Zarvexa, step aside. I will finish what you failed. Zarvexa stepped forward. Her armor flickered. She raised her weapon. No. Kraxtor tilted his head. Surprised. You defend the prey? He's not prey. He is human. He is more than human. Kraxtor moved like a beast. Fast. No warning. The fight began. Energy blasts lit up the trees. Zarvexa dodged, kicked, fired back. But he was stronger. Eli stayed hidden, heart pounding, holding the last trap wire. At the right moment, Zarvexa shouted, Now! Eli pulled the trigger. A hidden net of sonic wires launched out, wrapping around Kraxitor's legs. He fell. Zarvexa aimed her weapon at his head. Her hand shook. You've changed, Kraxitor growled. You're weak. No, she whispered. I'm finally alive. She didn't kill him. She turned and walked away. Eli followed. Behind them, Kraxitor screamed in rage, but he couldn't break free. Not yet. As they walked into the rising sun, Zarvexa said quietly, My people will come for me now. Eli looked ahead. Then let's keep walking. She looked at him, not with cold eyes, not as a hunter, but as someone becoming human. The dilemma. The forest was no longer peaceful. Smoke drifted through the trees. The ground was scarred. The trap that held Kraxtor had stopped him for now. But everyone knew it wouldn't last. Zarvexa sat beside the river, silent, staring at her reflection in the water. Her face was no longer that of a hunter. Her eyes had changed. She had changed. Behind her, Eli boiled water over the fire. He didn't speak. He just watched her, like he knew she was fighting something inside. Zarvexa touched her armor. A piece was missing, shattered in the fight. Her core systems were weakening. She could feel the pressure in her mind, her body, her soul. She opened her wrist panel. The message was still there. You have 36 hours to complete your mission. Return with the specimen. If not, you will be marked a traitor to the Drelvan Order. Beneath that, a blinking option. Eliminate target. 1 strike. Mission ends. Her finger hovered above it. Just 1 press. She could finish this. Return home. Get rewarded. Erase the pain. But Eli's voice broke the silence. What happens if you don't go back? She paused. Then I'll be hunted. Like you hunted me? Zarvexa looked at him sharply. But there was no anger in his voice. Just truth. Yes, she said softly. Exactly like that. Eli stirred the water. Do they kill their own? Zarvexa closed her eyes. They erase us. Our name. Our record. As if we never existed. A clean failure. Eli walked over, handed her a cup of hot water. She didn't take it. She looked at his hands instead, rough, scarred human, and still offering comfort to someone sent to destroy him. How can you be this kind? She asked. He sat beside her. Because I've lost everything else. Kindness is all I have left. Later that night, Zarvexa walked alone into the forest. The stars were above her, quiet and familiar, but they no longer felt like home. She opened her communicator and sent a voice log, encrypted and private. To the Drelvan High Council, I have observed the human. I have seen things I cannot explain. Emotions, choices, sacrifice. These are not weaknesses. They are something deeper, something your data will never understand. She paused. Her voice shook. I don't think I can complete this mission. She closed the device. But someone was listening. Kraxtor, still trapped, had hacked her signal. He heard every word, and he smiled. She has fallen, he whispered. The infection of Earth has taken root. He activated a backup device on his suit. A silent beacon flashed into the sky, calling others. Back at camp, Zarvexa returned. Eli was asleep. The fire was low. She sat beside him, watched him breathe. She raised her hand. In it was a small injector, silent, fast, painless. One touch and his nervous system would shut down. No pain, no sound. The mission would be over. Her fingers trembled. She looked at his face. Even in sleep, it looked peaceful, like someone who had nothing but still held hope. She lowered the injector. Tears filled her eyes. Real tears, her first. The next morning, they found a message scratched into the trees, burned by alien metal. You are now the prey. Zarvexa stared at it, her hands clenched. He's called for more, she said. They're coming. Eli didn't flinch. How many? Enough to destroy this forest and anyone in it. Then let's give them a reason to remember us. They spent the day setting traps, not to kill, but to delay, to distract, to survive. But Zarvexa knew something Eli didn't. This wasn't about escape anymore. This was about choice. Was she Drelvin? Or something new? That night she stood at the edge of the cliff overlooking the forest. Her ship, hidden beneath branches and dirt, still worked. She could leave now. Alone. Run. Survive. Forget. But her eyes turned back toward the small cabin, where a single light flickered through the window. He was inside. He had trusted her. He had forgiven her. He had changed her. Her communicator beeped. Final warning. You are now classified. Defective. Status. Disavowed. She didn't answer. She crushed the communicator in her hand, turned, and walked back toward the fire. Inside the cabin, Eli had packed a small bag. He looked up when she entered. Ready to go? He asked. Zarvexa smiled for the first time. Not a cold smile. Not a fake one. A real one. No, she said. I'm ready to stay. And fight. But far above the trees, 6 shadows streaked across the sky, faster than sound, cold as death. The Drelvin were coming, and they weren't here to talk. The truth revealed. The sky wasn't blue anymore, it boiled red. Thunder cracked, not from clouds, but from ships. 6 Drelvin crafts, shaped like sharp blades, tore through the sky in perfect formation. No lights, no sound, no warning. They didn't land. They descended like gods of war. On the ground, Zarvexa stared upward, eyes locked onto her own people. She knew the ships. She knew their weapons. She knew their protocol. Phase 1, surround the target. Phase 2, burn the forest. Phase 3, retrieve the rare species, dead or alive. And this time, she was on the wrong side. Eli stood behind her, eyes wide. Is that for me? She didn't speak. She didn't need to. The answer was clear. Suddenly, a robotic voice echoed across the forest, not through sound, but straight into the mind. Zarvexa, you are marked defective. Stand down. Return to your original programming. Her jaw tightened. She pressed her hand against her chest, the place where her communicator used to be. I destroyed that part of me, she whispered. You have 10 seconds to comply. After that, the human dies. Eli looked at her. You have to choose, he said. If you go back, they'll forgive you. She stared at him. Her voice broke. I don't want forgiveness. Not from them. Eli took a deep breath. Then what do you want? She looked around. The trees, the river, the broken earth, but most of all, she looked at him. I want to be real. The attack began. Explosions shook the forest. The Drelvin weren't hunting. Now they were cleansing. Flames spread through the trees. Shockwaves cracked the ground. Eli and Zarvexa ran. Together. Zarvexa activated every trap, every defense they had built. Energy snares, Camo walls, magnetic bursts. They worked, for a while. One Drelvan fell, then two, but the others adapted. Fast. Too fast. Then came the moment. A shadow dropped from the burning sky. Cracks tore. He had broken free. And he had one target left. He landed between them and the only exit. The river bridge. His armor was upgraded now, sleek, sharp, glowing like a star core. He looked at Zarvexa like she was nothing but ash. "You gave up everything," he growled, "for this weak, dying animal." She raised her weapon. "No," she said, "I gave up nothing. I found something." Cracks tore, pointed his plasma blade at Eli, "Then watch it die." He fired. Zarvexa moved faster than she ever had. She stepped in front of Eli. The blast hit her square in the chest. She fell. Eli screamed. He dropped beside her. "Zar, no. No, no, no." Her eyes flickered. Her voice was soft. I didn't fail." Eli held her hand. "You can't go now. You're not done. You're not." Her voice cracked. "I saw a star. In you. And I followed it." Crackstor stepped closer, his blade ready for the final strike. But then something happened. Zarvexa's hand glowed, not with tech, not with power, with something ancient, something only one Drelvan had ever felt before. Emotion. Her blood, her alien blood, had changed, adapted, chosen. The blast hadn't killed her. It awakened her. She rose, body broken, eyes burning, armor cracked, and yet more alive than ever. "You wanted a hunter," she said. "I became something else." She reached out her hand. Not for a weapon, for Eli. And together, they fought, side by side, not just with strength, with heart. They drove the Drelvan back, trap by trap, flame by flame. Zarvexa used their own technology against them. Her code had changed, and now she was rewriting theirs. One ship fell, then two, then silence. Morning came. Smoke floated in the air. The forest was wounded, but not dead. Neither were they. Zarvexa stood at the river's edge. Her armor flickered. Her body shook, but she was still standing. Eli walked up beside her. "You okay?" he asked. She didn't answer right away. Then she whispered, "I don't know what I am anymore." He smiled. That's a good place to start. Far above them, in the dark space beyond the sky. A signal flashed. Subject, Nargrax-1 has defected. New command, total erasure. The final wave is coming. The Huntress becomes the shield. The sky was silent. Too silent. After the storm, after the battle, after the smoke, came the quiet. Zarvexa stood at the edge of the river, armor cracked, blood dried into her skin like war paint. Eli stood beside her, his clothes torn, his hands dirty, but his eyes steady. They had survived, but they both knew it wasn't over. Suddenly, a sound like tearing thunder ripped across the heavens. A light unlike anything they'd seen before bled across the clouds. Cold, blue, unnatural. Zarvexa looked up. "No," she whispered. "They sent it." Eli looked confused. "What is it?" Her voice was hollow. "The Purge Core." "What is the Purge Core?" "A living machine. Not a soldier. Not a ship. A bioweapon. Created by the Drelvan for one purpose. To erase planets. When diplomacy fails. When hunters break code. When species evolve without permission. The Purge Core is sent. And now, it was falling, toward Earth. Zarvexa turned to Eli. Her voice was sharp. "We have less than 4 hours." Eli grabbed his pack. "To escape?" "No," she said, her eyes blazing. "To fight." They moved quickly. Zarvexa activated her memory drive, uploading Earth's topography, energy nodes, and old satellite systems. She didn't just want to hide. She wanted to trap the core. They ran to a forgotten research bunker, half buried, under vines and soil. Eli had never gone inside before. Now they had no choice. Inside, dust-covered metal walls, screens still blinked, weak but alive. Zarvexa plugged in her neural link, and Earth responded. Old systems awakened. Satellites reactivated. Power grids came online. A dead planet began to pulse again. "I can use this," she said, "but it won't be enough." Then Eli stepped forward. "I know something you don't." She looked up. "There's an old power vault beneath this mountain. My father helped design it, never used pure energy." Zarvexa's eyes widened. "You're telling me Earth has a core weapon?" "Not a weapon," Eli said. "A light. But light can still burn." They worked fast. Zarvexa rerouted satellite lasers. Eli climbed into the lower tunnels, reconnecting Earth's buried veins. They weren't soldiers. They were sparks fighting the storm. The arrival, when the Purge Corps landed, the ground didn't shake. It recoiled. Trees withered. Rivers hissed. Air turned electric. It wasn't alive, but it breathed, a massive black sphere floating 6 feet above the earth, with tendrils of light curling from its center. It whispered, "You are not the authorized voice. This world is marked unclean. Cleansing will begin." Zarvexa stepped forward. "I am Drelvin. You are rejected." She didn't flinch. "I stand for this world. Then you will fall with it." The sky darkened. The core began to charge, feeding on solar radiation and Earth's magnetic pull. Zarvexa screamed to Eli, "Now!" He triggered the underground vault. A beam of ancient energy surged through the mountain, golden, raw, human-made. It struck the core. But the core didn't break. It adapted. It evolved. Zarvexa ran toward it. Alone, weapons gone. Only her hands, her voice, her choice. She leapt, slamming her neural link into the core's side. She screamed, not from pain but from memory, every hunt, every mission, every species she'd erased, every planet she never questioned, every soul she never saw. She poured it all into the core, and the core paused. It felt something it had no word for. Regret. Eli ran to her side, shouting, "Get out of there!" But she turned to him and smiled. "I'm not leaving this time." She gave the core a new code, not from her people, not from her mission, from herself. This world is alive. This world has worth. This world changed me. And, with a final surge, her body became light. She vanished into the core, and the core shut down. Silence. The sphere cracked, broke, turned to ash, and was gone. Aftermath. Eli fell to his knees. The mountain groaned beneath him. The light faded, and above, for the first time in years, the sky turned blue. Zarvexa was gone, but Earth was safe, because someone who was never human had learned to protect it like one. Far above the Earth, the Drelvin Council watched in horror. Subject X1 has merged with the core. Purge failed. Human resistance detected. New threat classification. Humanities is not extinct. The new mission 1 month later. The forest had begun to heal. New grass pushed through the scorched earth. The rivers flowed again. The skies, once burnt red, now opened to a quiet blue. But despite the calm, Eli's heart had never been louder. He stood on the riverbank each morning, the place where she had last stood. Zarvexa, the huntress, the alien, the one who came to end him, and gave her life to save him instead. He hadn't buried her, because there was no body, only a flash of light, and then nothing. But something strange had started happening. Every morning at exactly the same time, his old radio crackled, the one he hadn't touched in years. It would buzz, glitch, flicker, and whisper something in a voice that was almost hers. At first he thought it was his mind, Then one morning, it spoke clearly. Eli. He froze. His hands trembled as he tuned the dials. Static. Silence. Then again, not dead, not gone, not whole, but still here. His breath caught in his throat. It was her. Zarvexa. But how? Meanwhile, somewhere beyond known space, a dark void floated between galaxies. Inside it, a fractured construct of light and code, half organic, half machine. A single voice echoed inside. My name is Zarvexa. She no longer had a body, not fully, but her consciousness survived, fused inside the remains of the purge core, a spark that refused to die, a thought that defied extinction. The core had tried to absorb her, but instead, she had rewritten it, turned a planet killer into a memory bank, a transmitter, a voice. Now drifting in space, she reached out, searching, calling, guiding. Back on Earth, Eli dug into the bunker. He connected old power cells, rerouted comm towers, built antennas using alien tech and human will. He wasn't a soldier, not a scientist, just a man, but one who had been changed. And finally, one night, the screen lit up, a hologram appeared, flickering, incomplete, but real. Zarvexa. Her image, blurry, her voice delayed. You're alive, Eli whispered. She smiled, just barely. You taught me how. She explained. Her body was gone, but her mind lived, hidden inside dormant alien tech. A piece of her survived inside the very thing that was meant to destroy Earth. She had sent herself outward, to avoid the Council, to protect Earth, to warn others. They will return, Eli, she said. Not just for you, not just for me. They will come for this feeling, this choice, this freedom. Eli stood in silence, then asked, What do we do now? Her image flickered, then steadied. Now, we prepare. The new mission over the next weeks, Eli did the impossible. He rebuilt her ship using scraps and buried alien tech. He decoded her Drelvan files. He mapped nearby exoplanets once flagged by her kind as emotion-rich zones. And he made a decision. He wouldn't just defend Earth anymore. He would go to the stars, not to hunt, not to conquer, but to find others like her, others like him, to build something new. The final message before launch, he returned to the river, one last time. He planted a beacon in the soil on small humming. It held her voice. It said, If you find this, you're not alone. You matter. Even the small ones do. Then, he rose into the sky, alone but not lonely, afraid but not running. The last human, the first emissary, and far in the stars as his ship disappeared into the void, a light blinked back, not hostile, not a hunter, but a guide. She was waiting. Far beyond Earth, the Drelvan Council met in secret. Their screens flickered. The human has left the planet. Zarvexa lives one within the core. We have failed. Then the screen changed. A new signal pulsed through the room. Not Drelvan, not human. Something new, something evolved. Transmission received. Message logged. Rewriting protocol. Emotion is not weakness. It is power. New directive. Observe, learn, adapt. Phase 0. Begin.